I've known Ryan Weiss for over 10 years, and I've used him in the past. Used him and his team in the past, and they've always done really good work. I think above the level of most contractors I've worked with, and he can scale the team up. They're affordable. They do great work. So is a no-brainer. Also, the type of work that we needed to have done was a lot of front-end React based work, and I knew he specialized in that field of software development, so I knew he would be a perfect fit. Most recently, they were working on the UI. It was a Vue front end, very similar to React, and I think they had essentially a engineering manager, and we interfaced with the engineering manager, reviewed the work that needed to be done, either new features or bug fixes or performance improvements, and really collaborated over Slack and GitHub, and it worked perfectly well. I'm on the West Coast of the US, and his team was working probably fairly late Indian time, and every morning I would have a communication over Slack of all the work that the Vice team had done that day, very, very detailed notes. And if there were any questions, they would ask those questions then. And yeah, that was basically our cadence every single day for quite a long time. Most recently, we were engaged with them for about 2 years. Yeah, up until just very recently. Yeah, I can't remember the first time we connected with Ryan, but it's been over 10 years, I think. I mean, the communication was fantastic. We got a very detailed Slack message every morning, West Coast time, just to start my day. I had a recap of everything they had done that day. Any questions or blockers that had come up during the day, they made those very clear to us. Again, we had all this was done over a Slack Connect conversation, and then also we were using GitHub pretty extensively with creating issues, assigning them to the Vice team. If they had any questions about a specific issue, then they would reply, on the GitHub issue itself or in the pull request. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely very communicative, and do so in writing, so it's easy to work with them asynchronously. Occasionally, I think when we were first getting the project off the ground, we did a Zoom call, but really everything else was just done with Slack and GitHub. The other thing that they did that was really helpful was they used Loom to record videos, so they could they could document, maybe a bug that they found in the UI, or document in a video a new feature that was added or how a bug was fixed. And they would embed those Loom videos in the pull requests, which was also really, really helpful. The project that his team worked on was not a brand new project from scratch. It was an existing project that we had started a year or two before. And so they came in and really augmented and, ramped up the application. They also, I think, improved a lot of the code. They added testing across the entire application using Cypress. But we had worked with a design firm that had come up with the design, and we were, essentially passing on those designs to the Vice team to implement. And then we were reviewing all the pull requests. So I'm sure there were some hurdles. I don't recall anything really significant. I think whenever we encountered something, they were able to come up with a solution within just a few days' time. I remember we had maybe an issue around running our Cypress UI tests and authenticating against the identity provider that we use, Auth0, and doing that in an automated way through GitHub Actions. And yeah, I mean, even that was pretty tricky to figure out, but in a week's time or so, they had a solution built out, and we had moved on. So I would say it all went really, really well. We would still be working with them if we could. It's just the overall tech economy, tech landscape is in a bad place right now. I mean, you've probably seen all the layoffs being done by all the big tech companies. So we're just we're being totally frank, we're just being cautious on all of our expenditures right now. And that's why. And I hope to engage with Brian and his team again in the future once, the long-term outlook in tech looks better. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, anyone that needs any really good, fast, and like, not affordable is not the right word, but it's the value you get out of the service that Ryan's team provides is it's almost impossible to beat. So anyone that I encounter that needs help with building out a front end app, I always recommend Ryan, because Ryan does a great job. Yeah, I mean, I've worked with contractors for 20 years. I've worked with all kinds of different contractors. I have a lot of experience working with different individual contractors or contracting firms. And Ryan is by far the best, my favorite to work with. It's, if you get to a larger firm and then they start rolling in project managers, and you get all these like extra layers of management that in my opinion slow the development work down and also add a lot of cost. And that's one thing that I find really appealing about working with Ryan is they're very efficient. They do great work. And it's sort of this lightweight engagement.